Hey, everybody, it's Honesty, and this is a very special episode of the Right Honesty podcast because we have a special guest. I'm going to try to keep our special guest a secret for maybe 2 or 3 seconds longer. Attorney General, how you doing?
I'm wonderful
I bet you are.
because of our special guest.
Because of our special guest. Our special guest this time is none other than Love Belvin. Evangelist Belvin, how are you doing?
I am great. I don't know if I belong on this podcast because you guys do such a wonderful job alone. And I've really been enjoying the work. Like I feel like this is the first time in my career where I can, I'm really not that sensitive about my work. But of course, you got to stay on guard in case something comes up and you're like, well, where's the hole? Where's the hole? But I learned very quickly that you guys don't critique the work or the author, you explore the work. And it is just a phenomenal thing you guys have been doing. And I feel honored. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to have to be resuscitated. Somebody get a player cough and cover my thighs because I've fallen out. I've fallen out.
No, you
get one of the mothers to fan me.
Responsible with it. You really have. And I don't think you fangirl. I really don't think that's what it is. You guys tore me a new one with the latest release, but it was such good dialogue. Like I truly appreciate it. I really, really do.
Well, now, wait a minute. To be clear, we didn't tear you. We tore.
Right. It's never.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I agree.
Because we recognized her. Look, I was certainly working out some childhood trauma discussing that because I absolutely recognized her in some people in my life. And I was like, you know what?
You know.
But and I think that's, kind of, that's one of the many beauties of the characters you write, Love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think they're so real, right? Yep. That when you are having these very powerful reactions to them, it's because they're jumping off the page for better or worse, right? For better or worse.
Better or worse,
yeah.
Okay, so I did my fangirling at the beginning of Ezra, but I would just reiterate that, baby, I ain't never gonna be the same. It was on so many levels, and I'm just excited to be able to say this to you personally. On so many levels, that series got me off of my butt and in front of a laptop trying to write something, and it was just I don't know how you did it. I've never seen a character come to life like that, but with such extraordinary subtlety. You did the damn thing.
Thank you. It's funny because I said recently, earlier this year, I was talking to a group, and I said, I don't know if I'll ever know how many people really enjoyed or read the series, because it kind of like clicks with a certain culture of people, that church culture. And because of the content, the sexual erotic, component to it, that's not something that we discuss. I even had one of my readers, and I think AG knows the reader, but told me like she gave the book to her pastor and said, I want you to read this. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? She said, yeah, wow. I told him he needs to read it. And she knows in passing Bishop Noel Jones. And she said, do you really? And she likes to tease me because I crush on that man. And she said, Love, your boo. I saw your boo today. He was da-da-da-da-da. I'm all for it, but it's scary. But then again, I feel like there's like a bomb over me. First of all, I hardly remember anything, which is why I enjoyed listening to the different episodes you guys broke down to discuss the different, books and everything. Because a lot of that stuff I did not remember, like until you guys started talking about it and how you guys broke it down. And I was just like, finally, someone who speaks my language, and they can just go straight into the story. They can come out of, what was she thinking? What did she do? Because I can't tell you what happened. It was so long ago, but I can just tell you that they were very real to me. Like, this is what, they gave to me. And I remember being so excited. Ezra said, I'm on workstation for a number of years. And his story, much like Asmir and Raina's, it evolved over the years, because he was was a lot blander, but it was because I couldn't give him the attention that I needed to, because I was working, I think I was working on Lit. Yeah, I think I was working on Lit. And when I finally give them my attention and I get all of these details, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. It just came together. And at that time, I assembled, I always say this, I assembled, HP would appreciate this, a pastor, a prophet, their wives, elders of the church. And we, I got them on a text thread, and sometimes we had church, and then this is some things that they were able to break down to me that I wasn't able to do, that biblical piece on my own. I definitely wasn't. I mean, I would give them the topic and I said, listen, I need this. And I need, okay, so what does this mean? And then I had an editor at the time who was a woman of God, who was phenomenal. And it was I think it was in Covenant with Ezra. And I gave her the script without a complete sentence. And I think it was, Ezra was in service, and he was talking about how high the spirit was, like how the spirit of the Lord was in the service. And it just opened up and changed the whole atmosphere, like the Holy Ghost was in there operating. And I was like, when I typed it, it was just somewhere I could not articulate. And she gave me the line, and she said, this must be what heaven feels like. I believe it was something like that. I was like, oh my God, thank you. That is it. Because I didn't remember that I left the sentence incomplete, but it let me know that we were connected, and to God be the glory. So it was an ensemble.
That's amazing. That's amazing to hear. I have some more questions about that, but we might come back around to it. Attorney General, we will start with you. First question, please.
No, I mean, I was caught up in the flow, because I think, Love, to your point about it resonating. And, one of our questions, so now, because I just want to go where the flow is taking us, HP. Because one of our questions is, Love, I've heard you say, or maybe I've seen you post it, because I haven't heard you go into detail. So I must have seen it posted rather than you speaking about it, that Ezra continues to be your most controversial client. And, I had said in the episode that I went and looked at some of the reviews, and I saw people kind of, I can't get, this is too much. It's not, working for me. But I wondered, is that what you've heard? Has that been the resounding why he's so controversial? Or you think just his personality, he just really does, he could have been something other than a pastor, and he might have still been that controversial because he just evokes such very strong emotions, right? Of women being like, oh, I love him, he's bae. I don't want to fight everybody.
And
versus right, exactly. And then the women who are just like, girl, I couldn't, please, I could not. He might be able to be my pastor. Exactly. So what is what continued to be what you were hearing in terms of him being so controversial?
I don't think, and Ezra is one of my most controversial. He's one of the Love Unaccounted series is one of our top most popular series. That Way With Love, and Lip. Lip is, now that Muted Hopelessness is there, Lip has been kind of pushed down, but when we have sign-ins, that's our most requested.
Okay.
And then even when the book was first published, and my hardcore day one sister readers, they gave me freeze. They were like, Obi, what are you doing? Because they assumed it was going to be another romance novel about a pastor who was a whore and who really disrespected, the cloth and I'm gonna be honest with you. I know HP would get a kick out of this if we could ever have a conversation privately. Like, I'm like, why did you guys think I was going to do that? Like, as you guys said, it's clear I grew up in church. And it reminds me, my writing lets me know how little I know about life. Like, I grew up as a know-it-all, and I know where it comes from. But the more I write, the more I realize I don't know anything, because I didn't know a lot of that. Just being irresponsible with the pulpit and a lot of corruption. I didn't grow up with that. Like, I grew up in a family church, and while there was drama, and I mean, drama to speak to the fact that the church no longer exists, after being in existence for like over 30 years, there was drama, but it was never anything to that level. So when they were saying like, where are you going, especially with the way the book one ended, I mean, it just ended like, what is she doing? Like, what is going on? So people just automatically thought that I was going to go somewhere with this man of God that I had no intentions on going, because it was very clear to me, Ezra, if he loved nobody, he loved the Lord, and he really respected his position. But he was blinded in so many areas, just like you guys articulated. Like, clearly he never had an adult relationship. He did not understand roles. He did not understand bending. He did not understand yielding. He didn't understand what love was. So he thought he was so worldly. He had experienced so much stuff. He said, I got a handle on this. I got to just take care of her. And she just has to be pliant to my sexual desires. And that is it. I mean, what's so hard about that? So I think, back to your question, I think I get that from a lot of my clients. I really don't take on people who are lovable. I don't do sugary romances. I don't. I enjoy people. I enjoy imperfections of people, and I enjoy bringing them together, bringing their worlds together, and watch a mess of it, right? And then trying to clean it up and humbling them. I enjoy strong personalities, and that's why I eventually had to develop thick skin and just tell people, like in my underneath the description of the book, like, listen, if you don't like these elements, and this is not the book for you, and it's okay, because I'd rather you just understand what it is from the beginning and not pollute my reviews. Because I'm always getting criticism at the book one, the book I'm working on now. I guarantee you, people are they're gonna hate it. They're gonna talk about how they hate it, and they're gonna just talk about like, why. I had this one woman, and I'm gonna say it. I think she's like a first lady. And after Love's Encroachment, she got into my DM and she said, why do you make your character so unlikable? And I had just gotten off the chat talking about Love's Encroachment. And I was in that period of, getting like what people felt. And also because I understand when I only write one book, I'm really going to get it, because people are accustomed to me laying it out via a series, like, right? Not just one book. So, but I only had one book. I'm getting better at this CK series, just one book. And I'm not gonna give you people you're gonna love off the bat. I'm gonna give you their ugly. And I think that's what I guess oftentimes you see in romance. You see everyone's so pliant, everyone's so easy, everyone's so lovable. Like, I don't like people. I don't think that's realistic. I didn't grow up around people like that. And I don't think I'm that person. I got my ish too. Like, I got my funk. And I like to talk about that. So Ezra was no different from that. And I think Ezra just unapologetically Ezra. He was just who he was. And I let him be who he was. And I think for the most part, if you get to the end of the series, you grow to love him and understand him. Absolutely. And you enjoy the journey. But at first, I'm used to it. I'm starting to understand it. And I'm not going to change. I enjoy this. I'm not going to write a cookie cutter romance. I'm not going to. I like good people. And I think that's just what it was. But that's right. He was just who he was. And it was a lot going on with him. And then that BDSism element, it was, people were just like, especially Black women, a lot of us ain't with that, and it's just like, what did you do? Like, what are you doing? And then thank God we figured it out, Ezra and Lex and me. And for the most part, people understand once they're done with it.
So to that question that the three of y'all figured it out, I want to talk about, and this was an AG's question. I think it's a great one. So in the Love Unaccounted series, you break the fourth wall and you let us see sessions with them. And I think, can't remember if Rut's therapist has a name, but if that person doesn't, then I'm wondering if it's you. So
it's me.
Okay. So that's
she
two
doesn't
times.
Have a name.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So that's two times that you sort of, but definitely with Ezra and Lex, we see the session and we know that it's you. So is that something that they kind of required of you? Because I'm wondering, and AG and I are wondering why it doesn't show up with everybody, especially with that Nadira child. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that was, I legit turned like maybe the day before I submitted In Love with Ezra, the second installment, into my line editor. I said, it was bothering me, like towards the end of writing, I said, I feel like I need something. Like, I feel like Ezra, I feel like Ezra needs to come to a different dimension. So I literally that quick, when he exploded coming into my office uninvited, and that was book 3. I think book 2.
Yeah, that's
book
Lex.
2.
Lex is saying, what are they going to think of me, or something like
what
that.
are they going to think of me? And a lot of that, I think, came from, and that's when you see my ego. That's when you see my response to what people were saying about book 1. And I guess that's what AG spoke about, or asked about earlier, is like, what were they saying? And it was just like, so much was coming at me. And I was just like, you know what? Let's just lay it all out. Like, this is what I do. And I love what I do. And I don't see a lot of people doing what I do. And this is what it's like when we're trying to get it together. This is what these sessions are like. But it really was like a last minute add-on, literally like maybe the day before. I remember saying, okay, I'm tired, but this is bothering me. I'm just gonna put it off into the front of the book. I'm just gonna add this one piece and I'll submit it tomorrow. And that's what I did. So then when book 3 came, I'm like, Ezra cannot be undone. Like, there's going to be more. So when book 3 came, that was just, I probably did not wait until the end. It probably was like one of the first things I wrote, if not like somewhere midway, but it just felt like them. It just felt natural. That's when I get lost down the rabbit hole of my imagination. And it was just, it felt right. Very similar to Wayward Love. The very last scene I wrote for book 1, The Left of Love, is the opening of The Left of Love. And it was, I remember saying to CCJ, something isn't right. Something isn't right. I feel like because of the story flow, because there was, you kind of wait until the end of the book to get to the juicy stuff that I know that is a requirement in my books for me. I feel like I need to kind of get the readers to understand where we're going with this, and how this is not, because it was so lighthearted, in my opinion, with these two young kids. I needed to grab their attention at the beginning. And I feel, and it was just literally the last thing I wrote before I turned it in. So it's just me just getting lost in my imagination and really trying to make sure I'm connecting with the readers. Something I try not to do, to be honest with you, because I don't like bringing readers into my process, because I like to write for me. I like to write, I like for it to be intimate, but I also understand the more books I put out, and as I see my following grows, I have to give them something too. Like, it's you can really get lost in that character development, and that's what I was doing a lot in that book. So anyway, that was just, to me, it was just something that was Ezra. So that's what I did.
Yeah, the opening to book 3 is, I already loved him. I never didn't like him. I had some questions about his choices, but I always loved him just because of how he's written. But when at the beginning of book 3, I was like, this is him. This makes a whole lot of sense that he would be like, she is gone, and you said,
it's your fault.
Like,
right.
You ain't working.
Yes. That of all your characters, that he would be the one to be like,
and for him to, he's a very intellectual guy. He's very well learned. And his thing was, you ain't no real therapist. So like, really, I'm entrusting you with this thing, and you're not working out. Like, you're not. She left. Like, can you believe she left? I'm just like, yo, you need to calm down. You need to pump your brakes, bro. Let me work this process. Like, let's do it. And I don't know if you guys hear that thunder behind me. Yeah, serious. If that helps. But that was really me just caught up with that name.
So, Love, you said some things that actually lead to a great segue into one of the questions we had. So we had a chance to chat with Ashley Nicole a few weeks ago, and she referenced you in terms of helping her evolution and of how she looks at her books in relation to how readers receive them, right? And she said, like Love said, I had to get to the point where I was writing for myself, and what mattered is that I enjoyed it. And if other people enjoyed it, fantastic, but I couldn't get caught up in whether or not my readers would enjoy it. And I was wondering, because I've heard you say that before, and notice that you are very even keel about your characters, right? You neither overly embrace or vilify them. They are who they are. You know, they come to you as they come to you. You write them. And you don't get caught up, right? You're not getting emotional, loving them or hating them. And it seems like you kind of enjoy letting people have their reactions to the characters. It sounds like, was that an evolution, or were you already on a certain level of that when you started writing, and then you realized you had to step that up several notches so that you really could divorce yourself from getting caught up in people's reviews and perceptions of the characters?
I think it was a bit of an evolution because my very first series is a long 4 books. And at that time, I didn't know my audience. I just knew my clients, and I spent so much time with them. I spent so many years with them, and I explored them. Like, I put them all there. We poured it all out, and I got beat up real bad by non-Black readers because that's who I was marketing to at first, because again, I did not find my audience. And then once I got to my, once I found my tribe, they had issues too. There were like wannabe bloggers, book bloggers, kicking my back in their groups. And I had a time, and my team, because my girlfriends who championed me, and they enjoyed the work. When things were written and posted about it, we were like, yo, we're from Patterson. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we were ready to go there. And I spent a lot of time, like, I never cried or anything like that. I never questioned my, how can I put this? Because I'm always learning. I'm not the best at this. I'm not even near the best at it. But I'm good at just giving what I have. So I was always on pins and needles. And once my second series was published, I feel like Black women really then embraced me. I feel like they gave me that confidence. They confirmed, like, okay, you know what you're doing. And CCJ refers to me as a tough girl. She and I got into an argument. I think it was our very first argument. And she said, you know what? You always got to be a tough girl. You always act like things don't bother you. And when she said that, I was like, oh, I think you're right. And like, oh my God, I never realized that, because I was always, in my bubble. And that's a survival method, like the mechanism. Yes. Like, I'm just like, I got to stand on my own too. I got to stand solid. And that's all I've ever known. And some things, like, I can see, I can discern, but I got to still stay solid, because I'm not going to if I ain't get eaten up by life yet, I ain't gonna let this book stuff eat me up. I'm gonna stand on mine. So it kind of helped with that. And then I started learning too, AG, that a lot of women readers, we bring our personal experiences into the books we read.
Yeah. Oh yeah, very much so.
And if we never heard of it, we don't feel it, or if we've seen it before, it can trigger us. So then sometimes we go at the author and try to, like, poke holes at the author or the work, when it's not fair, because it's just your experience. And this is not just for you. Like, I'm not writing a customized romance novel for you. I'm writing for using the gift God gave me. I'm writing and I'm having fun at it. Like, I only take on clients I really like, that really intrigue me, whether or not I don't agree with everything they do. God knows I don't agree with everything they do. And I write strong personalities.
Yes.
Because that's all I've ever known in life, were these strong. I had to really think about this, like, myself, like, why do you take on the people you take on? Like, what attracts you to those people? And it really is because that's what I like. So I had to own it. So now I'm far more comfortable with it. And it's too many of y'all that pay me attention. It's too many of y'all that consume it, that, that talks about it, and it's real too. So that is really my shield. So I'm at this point, like, I just want to stick with that. I just want to just go with what I feel and what I see, and take on the clients I want to. Like, I don't write in tropes. Like, I didn't even really know about tropes until well into my career. I just really take on these clients that have elements that I'm like, oh, let's explore that. Like, I don't know much about that. Let's do it. And even though growing up in church, that should have been easy to me, but I didn't grow up in a mega church. I didn't know what that lifestyle was like, so I just took it on. So yeah, I think it's just, it was just me. I had to grow up really quick because those arrows came at me that quickly, and I just got to go with it.
Mm. So that's again, you've served up a great segue, because one of our other questions was, which of your clients have you really just been like, girl, or sir, you are just a hot flaming dumpster fire mess, and we gonna get through this, we gonna do this, but Lord have mercy. I mean, has anyone had you having that kind of reaction where you were just like, you are really something else, you are humdinger, as the crows would say?
All of them. Like all of them, like if not both in a story, then at least one. But if you're not making me uncomfortable, if you're not making me drop my mouth, like, or drop my joke,
Okay.
then I don't think we're compatible, like, so I think all of them, like Asmir and his ways, Raina and her, her insecurities, like Stanton, like really Stanton, this girl, even though she's poor, and not, sometimes she's not. She just comes from a middle class family. Like, you really gonna do this to this girl? But I felt his heart for her. Like, I felt he wanted her, and she was bigger than what the light Zoe carried was brighter than he's ever experienced. So because I knew that, I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. I'll roll with it. And even like Elle was dark. She was dark. I was like, yo, I don't even know people like you. But I rolled with it, and I was rewarded because it was entertaining to me, Jade is the one that we will call her Bum BITCH, where I come from. Like, Jade, you ain't got nothing going on for yourself. You got all this baggage. And she is probably one of my most inspirational clients, because the way she loved him or loves him without any reserve is what I aspire to. Like, yeah, he's heavily flawed. Like, he really is. And he's a lot more needier than I would prefer in a man, emotionally needy. But I think she saw like the benefit of being with him. I think she saw, a partner in him. I think she wanted to legitimize him, even though many may say, who are you to legitimize any man? But Jade did that, and they were like a hand in glove to me. And I think all Sadiq's world, oh my gosh, like I don't even know that world. Like, so all of them have made me say, what is this? What is this? But, again, if they make it to my workstation, it's for a reason. And I'm gonna stick right beside them, and we just get it done.
In your current work, have you reached how do you feel about the clients that you're working on right now?
How do I feel about Jazz and Ashera?
Have you wanted to crack anyone's skull yet?
No, I have not done that yet. I do know, like, my developmental editor, she just started working on it, and she said she walks around like that, like she don't even know this guy's first time at her place, and she's walking around with like biker shorts on, like a tank top. Like, who does that? I said, Ashera. And I said to her, she said, I said, I wasn't raised that way either, but I was also raised in a very conservative culture, whereas we cover up everything. But I like that boldness. I like when you're not like me. I like when you have a liberty that I was never given, so there are some things I'm just like, oh, okay. But I roll with, like I did with Nadira. I just rolled with it, and I love it. I love what I do.
As you were talking, I thought to myself, HP, the number of times we wanted to crack Trent's skull.
For sure.
Right. So as LB, as you're saying this, I reflect, right, because all of them in different ways, the situations are different, their baggage is different, or sometimes it's the same. But you're right? You that reaction is present for all of them. We're like, you are really a mess. Like, what is wrong with you? Every single one of them have provoked that kind of reaction.
My tribe.
Yes.
But it's interesting too to hear you say that, when your editor is saying who does that, because this is a question that I ask of my own characters, and I'm like, you don't want to do that. Don't do that. So I be trying to talk them out of their foolishness. So I can.
I tried that.
So I can write in a straight line, and it puts me 3 and 5 and 8 business months outside of when I wanted to put the book out.
I was gonna say, don't do that. Don't do that to them, because I do that too. I mean, from the beginning, there were things that I'm just like, why would you do that? Like, that is so, like, are you stupid? Like, why would you do something like that? And I often have to say, this is not you. This is not your story. Like, you have to stop. Like, I've had to say that to myself. You have to stop, because this is not you. This is not your life. This is not, your upbringing. This is not your path. You need to let this person be this person and let them learn that lesson, or just see how it works for them, So yeah, I just let them go.
Yeah, I'm still working on that lesson. I hope I'm just 2 weeks away from being done with that lesson. But that's my issue.
So I think to that, what you just said, Love. So do we as the reader get all that the characters give you, or are there things that end up on the cutting room floor when all is said and done?
Yeah, for sure. There are things that I don't have time. There are definitely scenes that I don't have time, because when they're like feeding me all of this information, because a lot of times they feed me a lot of scenes, and that's how you got to get me. You have to give me like the big stuff, or even the small stuff that I can feel. And a lot of times, once I'm working and I'm weaving, because it takes a long time, particularly for that character development, I don't have the time. And then I'm always behind my deadline. I'm always handing, like, piecemealing to my editors, which is so unprofessional. I don't have time to take them all on. And I was just talking to CCJ a few weeks last month. She was like, LB, you need to get on Patreon. And I'm like, I don't have time. Like, I feel like I don't have time to even do what I do for a living. I only have one job to do, and that's just to write, and stories. And I just don't have the time. And I said, well, you know what? You do have those scenes that just never made it, made it to
sign me up. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Don't take my money.
Saying, but I need time to just sit down and do that. And I just don't have the lifestyle. And when I say that, take it with a grain of salt, because I have a wonderful lifestyle. Like, I never thought that I'd have this growing up, but I feel like the more space I'm given, the less time I have. So, but I can't wait to get to the point of my career where I can slow down, and I don't have to write on a schedule that I'm writing on, and I can explore those things. But yeah, there are some things that when I was talking to her, I was like, yeah, because even Love's Encroachment, there was like a sex scene that I was supposed to close with, and I was just so right, because they took me in one direction, and I just completely forgot that element. So there are definitely scenes that hit the floor, when it was time to just wrap it up and send it off to be cleaned up.
Can we make an agreement that sex scenes, of all the things that don't make it,
I know
that sex scenes will not be in that category? Because foul on the play, flag on the play. Excuse me, please.
I know, and it's just, but it's me, because I don't know. I have to get better organized with my time, and that's what I'm struggling with, like, in my personal life, because I really don't have any excuses, but I'm always behind on my deadlines, and yeah. So maybe that's how I can get them out some one of these days.
Okay, well, I feel less terrible, because if you behind, I sure can be behind. So amen. So I will continue with my 8 and 9 business months to get myself together. I don't have no problem with it. So to timelines, how much time do you usually give yourself for a series? And do you plan sort of like, not necessarily planning couples years in advance, but like, do you know what you want to be, how many books, for example, you want to do in a year, or like how much time it's going to take you to finish a series? Like, how does that factor into your process?
It does. I'm supposed to write 3 books at a minimum a year. And if I'm not doing that, like this year, there are consequences to that. Okay. And I had to kind of I had to come to that last one, because this book should have been published like at the end of September. I do. It should be about 3 books a year. I typically know by mid-current series, like the clients I'm taking on next, I typically know that. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I'm between two. Um, but I'm never where I'm supposed to be. I'm like never there. And then recently with the Sadiq series, I think was supposed to be 2 books. Was it Sadiq or was it Muted Hopelessness? Definitely it was Muted Hopelessness. It was supposed to be just 2 books. And I could not get out of BSU because again, before I take them on or when I'm gearing up, they're giving me so much information, but I can't just jump a reader to that conclusion. Like we have to figure out how you got there. For me, it just has to be plausible. Well, Black women, I think we're different. It just has to make sense. It has to feel right. And that's what I praise my developmental editor for, because, and then I had a researcher too. She used to constantly cut into me, this is not plausible, or I gave you this information. Oh man, Zoe, my former researcher, she said, I gave you a beautiful resume, a beautiful educational journey, and you blew it all on a bakery. She owns a line of bakeries. You do not go to Penn to open up bakeries. I'm like, oh, oh, my bad. I used to be really good at saying how many books. Like that's what my team will ask me. Okay, how many books are in this series? And then I feel like as of late, my writing, my productivity has changed. It's slowed down a lot. So I'm missing the mark. Sometimes I'll say, 2 books and it'll end up being 3. So I thought I had that in the bag, but I don't think so. I feel like I'm changing even now.
Love, I don't.
We also been in a global pandemic, so everybody
is.
And I thought I was doing good with that. Like 2020, I thought that was like, what else do you do? You sit home, you cook, you try new recipes, you eat, and you write, and you gain weight. And then 2021 came, and then I thought I was somewhat unscathed, and then 2021 came, and at the beginning, like while I'm writing Love's Encroachment, and then it hit me at home like twice back to back, boom, boom. And I can't stop. Like I have to keep going, and not for nothing, it's not painful. Like I literally wrote Love's Encroachment, like I'm all into the scene, like I'm in that particular place with the clients. And then grief hits me and I'm like crying, I'm boo-hooing. Wow. And then I'm like, okay, come on, get it together. I wipe my eyes and I'm right back into the scene. And I've never experienced that before. So, but I think they helped me because it's an escapism for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am able to separate. I am so able to separate the two. But I was rocked this year and I'm still a little, shaken by it, but I'm again fortunate because, I had a lifestyle before. I was writing these books like on a train into Philly, walking 4 city blocks, metropolitan city blocks, and, sitting in a nasty warehouse, doing stuff I didn't want to do, and coming home, doing voice memos. And so and I was able to do it then under more rigid circumstances. So I'm like, yo, you got to just thug it out. And that's what I did. And I was able to do what I had to do. So, life happens. And I just try to stay focused on the clients. And
yeah. So to that point about your process and giving yourself time, but knowing that sort of things are going to get in the way and sort of you do your best to stay on target. How do you approach new projects? And then you also mentioned about just having time. Are there certain things that you stop doing? Do you post less? Do you sort of try to batch a bunch of, have yourself or the people who are on your team batch a bunch of content? Like, how do you get ready? And what do you block out or add to be able to really focus on your clients?
I think at the most part now, at the detriment or the frustration, I should say, of my trainers at the gym is really that. Okay. It's really cutting back on the gym, which I can't afford to do at my age with my genes, which is why I'm paying for it now with a sore tush. I think at the most part, that's it. Oh, and also I don't have a social life. Like I don't hang out, with my people. I tried to do that this summer, which is why I'm late on this project. I tried to get to the beach as much as I could. I tried to hang out. I tried to get out of the house as much as I could during the pandemic. It didn't really work out, but I tried. I gave it that. But at the same time, while I'm suspending whatever or sacrificing these, the social life, I'm still hearing from my clients. Like they're still building. It's just me not sitting down recording. So
that was one of my questions. Remember, if they harass you in the
all the
shower
time.
while you're doing your squats at the gym,
Everywhere.
On your date when you took your picture
Everywhere.
where your character's harassing you while you dropped into your jail pose, because that was like a jail, Brooklyn, Patterson, Newark,
everywhere.
Irvington
I don't
pose.
have alone time. You know what? I feel like, if I can be personal, I feel like over the last few years, I've been praying about it. I was like, Lord, I used to hear from you in the morning. I used to hear from you like as I'm getting dressed and, washing up. And that was my quiet time. That was my clear time. And now that is my time where my client says, okay, or for me to say, this is what I'm going to record, because I hear it. Like I can see the straight path there and I can record it. And I don't like that part of it, but I'm just like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? So I'm still trying to settle that in my personal life, but they're everywhere. I'm on the beach, I'm eating, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. They are, I don't get a moment alone. And I'm okay with that. Like, that's fine until I'm reading my word in the morning. And then some erotic stuff pops in my mind. And I'm just like, oh my God.
You imagine Jesus giving you a blank stare, like, really?
Jesus.
Really?
I've often said, Jesus, did you really die a virgin? Like, did you really not have? I did. That was last year, and I had to get in and out of that. But yeah, that's my mind.
Really?
Really.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, because you posed that question of the day, right? And I think
that was hilarious.
HP and I were both quite amused that folks started quoting, and I blame you, LB, because folks started quoting Fred Hammond and other gospel singers.
I was not ready for that. I was not.
To justify, but I was really
inspired. That was the day that I listened to this part 2 of the Love Unaccounted series, right? But it wasn't even what HP posed. Like, she was talking about the vibrator.
Right.
I believe that's what she was specifically talking about. But I was like, well, what about, the other scene? That was less, explosive. Like, what about that, dude? What do you think? And I enjoy getting the feedback. I enjoy reading it. I was like so tickled by it. And I think what you guys have been doing is like, I can't say it enough. Like, I really appreciate it. It is so good.
Well, we wouldn't have, but for you giving us this rich material, right? Because and I hadn't even gone on Instagram in a couple of days, so I didn't see until I think yesterday, and I was like, okay, so the members of the Instagram Church of God in Christ.
Facebook, I got questions.
Yes, the Facebook temple of wayward lovers was a little bit more loose with their interpretation in terms of what sin is.
But you know what? I also heard from readers I never heard from. I'm like, oh, I've never seen her before. I've never seen, so that was really cool. That was really cool.
Interesting. That was a lot of fun for me, just to interact with people, and I was just really tickled at some of the responses, only because people love, they love Ezra. But if your cousin did that, you would have all kinds,
right?
You would have all kinds of feedback. So that was a lot of fun.
If it was your pastor,
there you go.
Period. You be like, Pastor,
right?
I can't. This is not okay.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
They're staying in the fantasy land. But what I think too is cool about this, if I can fangirl, I feel like this conversation you guys are, having in this dialogue, and on an intellectual level, might I add, I think that introduces a new culture in what we're doing. Like, I've seen like reviewers, and they're like all over the place, but I've never heard it, dissected, pulled apart the way that you guys do. And I feel like you guys hit home on a lot of what I felt like, the psychological elements of it, like, just going down, okay, so what was your childhood like? We can clearly, even though it wasn't, as HP would say, on the page, it was definitely, we can kind of, summarize or surmise that you didn't have X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, that's all we're doing. We're just two people. we're just dealing with people that at the end of the journey, hopefully you can just have a few aha moments and just kind of enjoy it. But we're just exploring people, and people are not perfect. Right. And I just hope that these conversations you guys are having can really inject like more culture and a bigger conversation when we're discussing these books, and it not just be about whether I like it or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like for me and AG, I feel like I can speak for her. Like, we believe in the quote unquote death of the author. And so, you know, once the book is released, the author really has nothing to do with it. And it's not about them personally. It's about what you took away from it. So it's irrelevant for us to talk about whether or not we think you should have done. We have what we have, and we're going to go with that and talk about the parts that we loved and liked and who needs to be stabbed and all kind of stuff, because that's a much more fruitful and exciting conversation than whether or not I like CCJ or Love Belvin. Like, I already gave you my money, so it's no point in us.
Right. Yeah. And also too, as an author, we have to understand once we hit published, they don't belong to us anymore. So you cannot take it personally. I mean, I've gotten some wacky reviews. Like I even had a stalker at the top of this year. Like, it was for real. Like, I was like, yo, what do I do with this? Like, I have all of her screenshots. She made up pages and all this other stuff. And I'm like, see, no, I'm like, that's a different, like, you belong in a nut house. And I hope she hears it. But like, seriously, like, you belong, like, you're a different type. Like, I wouldn't even lay hands on you if you approach me, because I really think you need to be sedated like somewhere, because you're taking this too seriously. And this is beyond anything I've ever gotten. And I've also got reviews that really didn't make sense, but it was just like, Love Belvin always does this, blah, blah, blah. I actually got a lot of Love's Encroachment. I'm not reading her anymore. This is where I draw the line. Like, no more of Love Belvin. I'm thinking, like, am I that important? Am I like it? Is it really that serious? Like, if I take on anything that you feel like doesn't agree with you, you know, your code of ethics, your spirituality, I promise I get that. But to take out time to put that into you kind of take the humanity out. Like, I'm a human being. Like, it's not that serious. Like, I just had diarrhea yesterday. Like, I'm like you. Like, it's not a big deal.
I'm sorry about that,
like,
but
I am not a machine. Like, and I'm just like, well, and I've never gotten as many of those. I've got like 3 or 4 of those in the reviews, and I'm like, what in the world? Like, what is going on? Like, hey, I know that I'm a little elusive, and I know that I'm private and all that stuff, but you know, I'm a real person, right? Like, it's not that serious. But again, once you hit publish, those people don't belong to you. So that's another reason why I don't go to bat. I can't go to bat for them if I wanted to, first of all. But even if I wanted to, I would be out of line, because once you hit publish, these people they were my clients, they become characters, and they no longer belong to just me. Even if you miss some things about them that I felt when I took on, like, you know, Stanton, going back to Stanton, there are a lot of people who enjoyed the series, and that's probably a lot of my series, but they just did not like Stanton because Stanton was very, very reckless, and he was. But I understood his heart. Or we just talked about this in my last chat I did 2 weeks ago. Asmir, Love Uncharted, when Raina learned about what is Asmir's ex-girlfriend and the baby, and she flipped and she was going to do Raina. She was going to leave, and Asmir sedated her with sex and with the handcuffs. And there are people who felt like that was just too aggressive for them. Like, they felt like he raped. I said, I'm never writing about a rapist. Like, I can go there. I like dark, but I'm not going that dark. Like, I'm never going to take on a client that's a rapist. Like, I understand the heart of these people and the limitations, because if there's just some things I won't take on, because I'm not with it. And also, I probably can't do it justice, but I'm not going to write about a rapist or whatever. But then I also understand too, when you understand who you are as a person, I can deal with more difficult personalities. Like, I can digest it a little more. Not that I love them, not that I live with them. I have to deal with them daily, but I can not be so turned off. But then there are a lot of women, I can't get with that. And I had to understand that very early on in my writing career. So no, I can't take it personally. And no, I can't be arguing online, you know, on social media about fictional people. Like, I'm just not going to do
Love,
that.
you have reminded me, again, when we spoken with Ashley Nicole about one of her books, and I'm going to take you to Raji's
Yeah.
flashbacks of the sexual abuse with Patty.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very difficult. So Ashley Nicole stuff, HP and I agreed it was very difficult to read, and the character was remembering, right? And we immediately drew that parallel with Raji, but it was like, we're experiencing it with Raj in the moment as he's remembering, right? And wondered, how was that for you? Because Ashley Nicole said she wrote that without an issue. Like, that's not one of her triggers.
That's because she an animatron, but I love her still.
Well,
I am too, so I understand.
But I think to you, what you just said, Love, about readers having certain triggers, right? I mean, it's the same for, I mean, you're a person just like us, and just wondered, like clearly you were able to get that out. So I'm not saying it was a pleasure trip for you, but obviously it didn't disturb you to the point where you were like, I can't, because you gave us quite a bit of detail. So clearly, I mean, but what was
like,
that
how did you
experience
write it?
like for you?
And then how did you take care of yourself while you were writing it?
Yeah, child. Ooh.
Yeah, so that was like a bomb. Those were really, really dark places. Like, it was in a basement.
Yes.
A basement, I'm sure that wasn't finished. And it was like, to me, that space, the whole basement was dark. But the space that Raj even set up as a room just wasn't any type of luxury I want to be in. But what I tried to do was just to keep them short. I could not lengthen those. I could not lengthen those flashback scenes. But when you take it on, and you, in this LB universe thing, I wear on my back, like, it has to be real. Like, it really has to be real. So I had to be down there, and I had to see it. But I think what I know my objective was to get in and get out, and that was the only thing that I can do. It was really dark, and it was like, I think I was a G with it, though. I don't want to act like I was like crying after writing those scenes, but it was something that I had to be there with a young, vulnerable, motherless Raji, with no protection at all. But I couldn't keep them long. I had to get in and get out, and that's the only thing I can think about. Because even after writing it, I asked myself the same question, like, dang, how did you do that? And it was like a bomb over me. Like, I really just recorded what I saw, but I couldn't make it long. Like, that's not something I
Did your betas give you any pushback on those scenes? If you use betas for that project?
I did use betas for that project. I don't recall. The only person that probably would have said something, I have a bad memory. But the only person that probably would have said something was my developmental editor. She's very, very colorful. But I don't even remember what she said about it.
No, I mean, that's helpful, right? Because I mean, it felt very authentic. So as you're saying, Love, the basement is like, I could see a basement, right? When Leroy is talking about his experience, and the guy peeing on him before he pounced on him and whatnot, like all of that. It is a lot, Love, but you gave it to us so that we were there. I was there, right? As a reader, I was there, and I was just like, oh Lord, I need to take a shower. I feel icky. But that's how authentic it was.
For real.
That's how authentic it was.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me ask, so why don't we, HP, why don't we kind of go back to like the beginning in terms of, because Love, as you've referenced both in this chat, but also in other places, you are blessed to be writing full time. But I know that was not, obviously that wasn't always the case. And I remember you saying you previously had worked in like, not healthcare, but like health policy, public health. And so what was your tipping point? Like, once you started putting words on paper and getting it out of you, that's one thing, right? And there's so many writers, HP included, right? Who HP likes to say she got a good government job, so she got a good government job. But like, so many they are pursuing their passion on the side. What was the tipping point for you where you were like, okay, this needs to be my full-time vocation? And then the second part of my question is, and then what was the plan? So like, what was the light bulb moment where you were like, okay, I need to be doing this full time? And then what was the plan for you to start making that a reality? Because I think that's a testimony, candidly, for people.
No, it really is. It was a huge blessing too. And I'm starting to learn that that's not often the experience of a writer. So in public health, I made no money. Even as a master's prepared professional, I made no money. And I was always the employee that vocalized this, like, I've been in this for almost 15 years, or even when it was 10 years, or even I have a certification before I had my master's. And I made like crumbs. And considering my, all of my financial obligations and everything like that, it wasn't until 2015. So it was just before Love Unaccounted, somewhere around there, where I started, I want to say I started making as much as I did. Definitely, it had to be. It was Love Unaccounted. I honestly matched my salary.
Wow.
And before then, like, it was gaining, but I was, when you're working, especially for me, I was in a rat race. Like my real life, like, I still do not know how I did that. Like I had 2 full-time jobs. I was in public health and I was a writer full-time. Like weekends, like I could ever tell that story. I don't know how I did that. But I wasn't focused on the money. When I got in this, I felt like money would come, but really, like, I'm just a girl from Patterson. Like I just want people to like me. I want to make you love me. That's all my focus was. And I have a publishing partner who kept an eye on the money. And considering my obligations, my financial obligations, kept reminding me, okay, well, if we go at this rate, oh, look what you made, Ms. Author. We go continue at this rate, then maybe you can, come off the job. And then when the time came, I was just such in that rat race that I was just still hustling. I hated my job. Like, I hated the commute. I hated the subway. I hated walking next to human feces.
That's gonna be a no for me too.
Hated walking into, I was like, I remember leaving off work, going down to the subway one time. And 2 guys were like, when you come down the subway, you have those first few steps, and then you kind of make a right, and then it's like another few steps. And right there at the bottom of the steps, there were like these 2 guys that were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing. I can't tell you this very day what they were doing. But I'm from Patterson. So I just kind of guarded up, and they saw me, their eyes got big. And I'm sure my eyes got big, and they spoke, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Trying to play it cool. And I slipped and trying to just hurry up to just kind of get to that second set of steps. And I slipped.
Oh,
and I
no.
fell in urine. Yeah. And my little, the diva fell in her little, blazer and work bag and everything. But I was just like, and guess what? One of them helped me up. And I was just like trying to break away and these men meant me no harm. They probably were getting high or something like that. And then because I'm just the tough girl, like I'm just managing, I was just still in it. And then it got to the point, January 2016, when I started having like the problems with my colleagues. It was just starting to bother me. I got to the point where I couldn't eat it. I couldn't continue to eat it, couldn't continue to just tough girl it out. And I remember CCJ said to me, she said, LB, you're at the point where you don't, maybe this is God's way of telling you, and this is not CCJ's talk. Every time CCJ has spoken to me like this way, it was so. And she said, I know you talked about, when your time was coming to leave your job. And she said, LB, you did this, you got that. And I think it's time. And I kind of blew her off. Like, I love that talk, it's comforting. And then finally that May, we were interviewing to have a second me, because I was, my job, my workload, they needed me so bad. They just gave me anything I wanted. Even tried to bump up my salary as little as I can, but that was grant work. So there's not much they can squeeze. So at all. And she really tried to. And we were interviewing for a second me because they realized I had them by the balls, even though that wasn't my spirit, but they were smart. And she said to me, my supervisor, she was a CDC correspondent, she said, do we need to interview for 2 people here? And I said, oh my God, I was just talking to my publishing partner. I said, I think we should. And basically she was saying, are you leaving? Because I was always the fly girl. I was always like, these are pennies, that was always me. And then it clicked and I was like, yeah, I think we should. And by that time I had I had doubled I matched. I just got over just a little over what I was making on the job. So I didn't need the job, you know. And July, the last week of July was my last day there. And I was already working 2 full-time jobs. I was really doing this full-time. It just made sense. And to God be the glory, I was able to do it because, again, for me, it wasn't about the money. For me, the new challenge was, at that point, taking on the haters, because I had a whole bunch of them, even as peers. You know, I was just like, nah, what? You saying like I can't write? You saying I do this too much? My books are too long? And I was more into that than I was the money. But it all came together. So that's how I was able to sustain myself financially, because the money was there with publishing.
I love that though. I love the, you know, because sometimes when people say, well, you know, if you follow your bliss, you know, do what you love. And listen, honey, before I had the law degree, I was risk averse, right? So I am very mindful of, there is wisdom in that, yet and still it's like, well, wait, hold on. Because there's concrete bills that actually got to get paid. So if the bliss ain't paying the bills yet, then we got to have something that's paying the bills while we follow our bliss.
Yeah. And for my family, even though they trusted me, because I've always made a good series of decisions. I was always low risk, even though I grew up in a high risk environment. It was always low risk. And I really thought they were going to be like, because, you know, my grandparents, they were Southerners. They came to Jersey with nothing. And then they made something of themselves. Love Belvin was an entrepreneur. He was able to, leave his job or whatever. But that was kind of a wild card. You know, they're just like, you stay with them benefits, you believe in the Lord, it'll work out something. And my lifestyle, to God be the glory, was not such. And I was the last one to just realize, okay, you can let go. You don't have to live like this. Like, you don't have to do it. And I can't imagine going back to that. I really just can't imagine doing it. But I also do understand how fortunate I am. And I often talk about that. Like, where I come from, girls would kill to have my lifestyle. I know what my contemporaries are living like. I know what they're doing, even those that are just working hard, trying to make a living and everything like that. So I've always walked in God's favor, and that's just a testament to what my life is.
Amen.
Really.
I will follow up with that. You may have already answered it, but I'll ask the question anyway. Well, what part of your success so far are you most proud of, or means the most to you?
The fact that I guess it's me being bullheaded. Like, I feel like I'm courageous. Like, I feel like I'm insulated. I can just do what I want. And I don't have to be concerned, because I've seen it. Like, authors are too heavily concerned about what other authors are doing, what readers are saying, where they want to be and they're not there. And they're just affected by that. And I'm just not. I'm just not. And I've not met my goals. Like, I tell everyone, like, I feel like I was on a call with a few of the top authors in my field, and we were all talking shop, and I was just like, dog, they've been there, they're at that level, like, and I've not reached that yet. But I just feel like I'm able. My success is the fact that I'm able to stay in my lane and be creative there. I'm just not, and I'm not perfect either. Don't get me wrong. I'm a woman. I go to the gym, I have to be there because, genetically, I ain't there,
thighs, child. I understand.
I got boobs. I ain't never had boobs, and I got boobs. My boobs are saying hello to people before my mouth says. But my point is, my life is not, I don't have the perfect life, but I really try to focus on the good of it. So I feel like my success is the fact that I'm able to just stay in my lane, just focus on my craft, and just do that. Like, I guess too, because I never thought this would happen for me. So I try not to spend time looking outside of my lane. I just try to stay there and just work what God has given me and be grateful for what God has given me. And I think that's my success right there.
What I'm hearing is authenticity. Right. Because again, that's another one of those things that it's fine to tell people, be you. You can only be you. There's a whole song about it, right? Cue Stevie. But people, when it seems like, especially, and I think the three of us are close enough in age, like we did not grow up with social media at our fingertips, right? And so and
thank God. Praise
I
be to
agree.
Jesus.
I agree, because I think when you look and you see so many people being carbon copies of others, and they've got millions of followers, and they're getting endorsement deals, and they're getting this and this, the message of be you, and what you want will follow, right? Be you and success will follow. You're going to be your most successful if you just embrace who you are. That starts sounding like a lot of hokey doke, right? Because of what people are seeing on social media. But I think, to your point, Love, not only has it brought you success, but what I'm hearing a level of peace of mind, right? That you can actually enjoy what you have, because you are being you. You are not trying to
I insulate myself. And trust me, I don't think I have a handle. I know the imperfections of my writing. I know what I'm struggling with when I'm recording. Like I just said, I don't even record as much as I used to. And I don't have any, I have the lifestyle where I can just write, and I'm not recording. So I'm not saying my process is perfect. And I'm not saying like, it's easy, like words just like really spill. I'm not kicking out 8,000 word days anymore. Like that's just not, and that's that's the insecurity of mine, but it's something that I recognize. I try to work on alone. Like I don't have to post that, I just try to figure it out. And also, I'm getting older. I'm about to be 42 years old. So I also thank God for just understanding that, life changes, it evolves, and my life could be a lot worse. So I just try to keep it moving.
I feel like some of these lessons that you're, or like life lessons that for you have helped you get to where you are, but I think they also spill into your work. And so one thing you said just now, just about, you post on, like you're insulated, and you post certain things intentionally, and there are certain things you won't post. And I think that's important. If that's I think that's important to your mental health, depending on the situation. So like I am in my reading and my writing, I'm very emotional. At work, I am an animatron, as they say, and I'm about my business. Like one thing I know how to do is keep on walking. But what I appreciate, but what I have seen bothers other people is that you do curate your own timeline, and you are careful about what you show, and you are private about some things. And I think one thing I wonder, sort of how you have figured out how to set that boundary when your readers want more from you.
I don't think they do, though.
Well, I don't know now, because
I want more.
I don't think so. Because when I think about, like, when I post personal pictures, they don't get as many likes, and I'm okay with that. Like that humbles me, and I need to be humbled, because I'm a diva. Like that is just who I am, and I have my pride about me. But that's another reason why I don't like to post too much, because I don't want to get caught up in that, because I don't want to compete with the work. I'm a lot, I'm a whole lot. And I don't think that should be the focal point. So, but I also learned, like, the things that I post, people are like, okay, look, that's cute. Where's the next book? So and that's humbling. And I think I need that, because I tell people all the time, they don't believe, like, I am a deep. I'm a woman like many other women. Like, I like validation too, but I don't want that to cross over. I don't want to compete with the work. I think at some point in time, then, I won't say I don't ever want my life to be an open book. Like I could never be a part of a reality show or anything like that. But I think at some point, when people learn about my lifestyle thing, I'm like, ain't nothing going on in her life that's going on, that's not going on in a lot of normal people. Like I really don't have anything spectacular going on. And maybe that's another reason why I don't share, because I don't want people to know just how boring my life is. But
so that's why I think, I don't know, I'm pushing back, not so much because like on the metrics of like fewer likes, but maybe because I have heard the whispers, on the internet about like, your clothes, or, how expensive things are, or like different like sometimes familiarity breeds contempt, but then also too much distance. People are like, well, wait a minute, what, you know what I mean? So I feel like I'm just interested in, is that something you decided early on, or is that just a part of your personality in general?
That's not a part of my personality. I'm not a private person.
Okay.
I'm not. I posted about this. I am that girlfriend that will ask you what was your first orgasm and walk me through like how did you come, what position were you? And I am that. And I actually have a friend that she's a former colleague who worked for American Cancer Society together. And now we're girlfriends. When I was getting my hair braided last month, I ran into her. She brought her girls there, and it was an emotional moment because I've not seen them in a while because we don't work together anymore. You know, we don't see each other every day. And I remember when we worked together, and I was a few years younger than her, but I was like really young in my career. And we were in the bathroom at the office, and I was like, I don't know what I asked. It was something about sex. And she said to me, that is something you'll never get me to talk about. And I was like, oh, okay, there's a tough girl. Like, oh, okay, I took it, you know, I didn't get offended. I didn't cry or whatever. Child, please. About a year later, she was all over me. Oh, you know, so because that's just how I am. I'm just not really, unless I don't trust you. And I'm also not the type of person that I have to trust you in order to talk to you. Like I'm a Belvin, like we give too much, you know, and I think that is probably me showing myself discipline because we overshare, and we obviously things that I feel like that I need to keep to the chest that I will, but just in general, I'm not a private person. I grew up in church. We're Christian people. We're supposed to share. We're supposed to testify, right? We're supposed to talk about all those things, and that really is who I am in my personal life. But for work, this has been really easy for me to just kind of separate the two, because when I get louder than my work, then what am I doing? Like, what am I really, really doing? And I also don't want to be a show for people. Like, and I also don't want people to think, okay, who is she? Which one of her characters is she like? Because I'm not like any of them. I am just, and I don't want to be, and I don't want you to mistake that. So it's like, you know, I don't, you know, but I do try to talk, because people say, you always talk about designer stuff. I like designer stuff. What is wrong with that? And I want to put that out there. Like, I need for you guys to know that ain't going to stop, because that makes me happy. Please
I
stop.
see nothing wrong with that. I see nothing wrong with that.
If you don't like it, like it just takes away from this. No, it does not. And if you think so, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not the author for you. I don't think I overdo it, because I don't think that, you know, all of my clients are necessarily into it. But that for me, that's my treat in this storyline, you know? So yeah, I'm really not a private person in real life. I'm just not.
Love, you've mentioned the label thing, and I guess the critique about the label thing on several occasions. And I find that very interesting, because I'm like, with all the fuckery that be happening in your books, okay?
Yeah.
The labels are the stuff that your characters get into, the last thing. It's interesting to me that would be something with, if there were less complicated characters, right? If the storylines were a little more surface level, but I'm like, these people are engaging in some. It's interesting that people kind of like hone in on that, because I didn't even notice that. I think I've started paying more attention to it because you've said people have complained about it. And so in the last couple of books, I've been like, is that really a thing?
Because even like in Love's Encroachment, I don't really think either Nye or what's his name? Lance. I don't even think either one of them. I think Nye liked nice things, but that wasn't the focus. Like you know, I tried to, like, I talked about a sheer garb, and that's a fictional line of a fictional clothing line that CCJ and I came together and created for CK, because CCJ ain't with Gucci, CCJ ain't with Chanel, she ain't with them white folks. So we had to make up something for us, for our people. So I may have mentioned that, but that really just speaks to trying to just really make this brand believable. But I wasn't even on it like that, but I got ate up in those reviews with that. So I don't know. But I don't think people are as curious. I will be honest with you, like I did have a personal Facebook page, and I had to close it because people were finding who I am, and they were saying things. I'm like, y'all gotta stop this. Like, I'm nosy too. And that's another reason why I was just like, it's fair game, because you're nosy. So just kill your page. And I killed my page. But I think I don't think people are that I don't think they care. I personally think they're more into the work and the next project, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. That makes sense.
2 more questions before we wrap up. The first is, yes, we have to.
Sorry.
And I'm on my best behavior and I'm running out of good behavior. So we have to close this out. What are there any unfinished or unpublished projects that you have that will never see the light of day?
Nope.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I don't write and stow. I write and publish. I've never, like, if at most, like, I remember when I was writing Bonded with Ezra and I wrote the scene for CK1, Love in a Red Zone, where Trent introduces Jade to Stanton and Alton, all of them. I was like, that was an 8,000 word day right there. And I stopped because I was stuck with Ezra and Lex. And I remember writing that in just a matter of a few hours, that scene, because that is where I was, but I knew that was my next project. I wish I did. There's so many like authors that can just push out these projects, and I'm like, dang, if I can just write a little faster. But I just don't. But I don't have anything unpublished, and I don't even really care to have anything unpublished. Like, I'm just so good with sharing what I have with everyone. So nope.
So what I'm hearing is that we need to get you some little a millennial personal assistant who can curate some of those scenes that are sitting on the cutting room floor, so you can open your Patreon.
Last question. What can you tell us, cryptically or not, about your current project? So I asked you sort of what stage you were with them emotionally, but are there any details, even if we're not going to understand it, what can you share?
It's a slow burn. It's really a slow burn. It's I've noticed that I like clients with history. But even like with the Muted Hopelessness series, there was a lot of backstory before I can bring it up to date. A lot more than I thought it was before I went into it, and ended up being like 2 books worth. And then with Love's Encroachment, there were those flashback scenes. So it's less, and these are no flashback scenes in this one, but I started the story with a lot of backstory. And I think that's why it's been hard, because I actually stopped my regular gym activities at the end of August. So that's probably why I'm suffering the way I am now, because I've been very inconsistent. And for the past month, I've probably gone to the gym like twice. Because I've been really, because I'm like, yo, you're behind your deadline. I'm like, I'm working, but I've noticed that I'm more inspired with the romance piece of it. But the real LB I need more than that. It needs to be plausible. I need to know more about them. I need to know more facts. So I spent a lot of time. So it is definitely a slow burn, and similar to My Muted Love, a lot of, and Elective Love, a lot of the juicy stuff happens literally at the end.
Yeah.
And that's where I am now. I'm towards the end where it's getting really fun, but I got frustrated today. I stopped working earlier than I wanted to, because some things just has to make sense to me. And I'm just trying to figure it out. But it's a slow burn, and it's something you have to be patient with. And it's something, it's a cultural issue that I'm taking on. But as usual, I just find it to be a fascinating story. His background versus hers, similar to Kennedy and Isaac's, totally different walks of lives. And I'm excited about it. I feel like it's something new for the LB universe. But if you really follow me, it's a lot of the same elements repeat in my books. Like, I'm just interested, just honestly, like, yeah, Are
we going to see Brielle or Amira?
We're going to see Brielle for sure. We're going to see Ezra. We're going to see Lex. We're going to see Asmir. We're going to see Raina. We've seen Elle. Who else we'll see? I don't know, but we're going to see Earl Ellis. Sadiq. I've been like Sadiq. He's just been really elusive for me. Like, I know that Lons knew Sadiq. Am I lying? No, Ashton knew Sadiq. It's just never really clicked in terms of, I mean, how could Sadiq not know, the owner of B-Way Burger? But it's just, it has to be organic, and it was just nothing that really connected them. But definitely Earl Ellis has been in this, Asmir has been in this.
Very interesting. Okay.
Very interesting. Yeah, so and honestly, my developmental editor, she hit me up and she was like, yeah, I was really happy to see Raina. I got so excited to see Raina because we see Asmir and then we'll get like one-liners or whatever. And it was just like so good. She said, I was like, really? You're happy to see Raina? Yeah. So yeah, we'll see people from the LB universe in this. And I'm excited about it. But I know it's gonna come. Just like with My Muted Love, it's like crickets, like, oh, that's nice, love. Okay. And then when we get to book 2, which is like the most easiest for me to write, then, prayerfully by that time, I'll capture everyone's attention for real. And then I'll be struggling with book 3 to close it all up as usual. So,
well, at least you know yourself.
Right. Love, before we go, because I'm not sure if, in the recording, and I'm talking about the audiobooks, in the recording process, how much interaction you had with Wesley and Emmanuel. But as an aside, Emmanuel had said, they do this IG live every other Thursday. And someone mentioned Ashton. And he was like, ooh, child, Ashton took me through it, y'all. Like,
did he really?
Yes, he did. Like, and I thought that was just, in light of the other books that he's done and whatnot, I thought that was, he was in part giving you your flowers, because it was more than just, I went in and I performed this and this character and so on and so forth. He was like, "Ooh, Ashton took me through it, y'all." Like, I did. Like, and then other readers were in the room and were like, "Yes, Ashton, Tori," and he had that moment with a number of us, and I was like, I wasn't sure if you had. Yes,
I don't know him.
I wanted to make sure
I don't know
Emmanuel.
I've never had a conversation with Emmanuel before. I've spoken briefly with Wesley. I think Wesley's like, love, I don't know how to take you. I don't know what you are. I don't, because she seems to be so sweet, so, as CCJ and I would say, bubbly. Like, she seems to be very giving to her craft too, very giving and very community like. So with her, I've had more interactions with, but I think Wesley is like, love, you don't like audio, so, and I want to give you a hug, but I don't know if you like hugs. So, but I think they're incredibly talented, and I credit them for introducing me to an audio audience that I didn't know before, because that project we did in partnership with Podium. So they dealt with Wesley and Emmanuel, whereas independently we started the Love and Rhythm and Blues series, and I did that myself, and I made a mess of that, and I'm trying to clean it up now and trying to finish it now, and that's what we're actually working on right now. But I've never spoken to Mr. Emmanuel, and Mr. Emmanuel knows how to do those erotic scenes, huh?
Listen to me.
Yes, child. Yes, he absolutely does. And
I'm not an audiobook person, but I was in their IG live, and I was like, it is warm. Is anybody else warm?
Yeah,
it's just hot
when
right now.
I heard it, I hit CCJ up. I was like, yo, he did. She was like, girl, they love Emmanuel's. And I feel like that's when Emmanuel gets comfortable in those scenes. So yeah, I really credit them for that. They really brought their following to the Muted Hopelessness series in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do without, talented narrators. So shout out to them.
Yes.
Okay. Last question, I promise, HP. But love, is Brielle the one character that will not leave you alone? I feel like you kind of alluded to that.
This is
okay,
true.
So she keeps harassing you. Okay.
Yeah. I really would like to do my first novella with Brielle. I don't want to take her on in a full project. But I definitely, like, she's talked to me a lot about her story. And she has presented herself as redeemable to me. I don't think you guys are going to agree after you read this next book in general. I know. And I just felt like, Brielle, like, I'm trying to work with you here. But I was never interested in her, like, zero interest. I'm not really into sub characters like that at all. Sometimes I will like introduce my next client, but I won't give a whole lot because I'm just not there with them. But with Brielle, I feel like out of nowhere, she hit me up in 2020 and she was just like, look, I got a story to tell too. And it was a very interesting story. I just need time. I was hoping to take her on this year, but I'm trifling. So prayerfully I'll take her on soon. But Yeah, she's definitely that. She's not allowing me to just leave her be.
Well, I love that. I'm glad to hear that. I'm sorry that she's torturing you and
Yeah.
harassing you, but
Yeah.
because to your point, you have been very clear about not like you shut us
Yeah.
down quick. You be like, no, Tashi's not getting the
No,
story.
yeah,
Mike, she's not
Tashi,
getting no,
no,
no, no, no. So it's
China,
interesting. Yeah, it's
no,
interesting that
Leroy,
Brielle is the
heck
one that won't.
no, yeah.
Lord, Leroy child, that
That
would
would be
be like an
something.
X-rated
Yeah.
movie. Child.
Leroy, oh my gosh.
NC-17 and
Yeah,
everything
it really
Oh
would
else.
be
gosh.
NC-17. All right. I think this is a good place to stop. Thank you
Yes.
Thank you for coming on the
Yes,
Right Honesty
ma'am.
podcast featuring AG with an eye roll, because that's how it looks on the internet.
Don't treat me that way. Fine.
Well, listen, HP, my best to you in all your endeavors. I feel like I hate to say this because it sounds so mean, but I'm rarely impressed, but I'm truly impressed with what you've done. And I think it speaks a lot to you as a person when you have these conversations about the LB universe and in such an intelligent manner. And I feel like it says a lot about you and who you are. I'm like tickled by a lot of things you say on here about the church and the culture. And it'll be a very interesting conversation how you were you're a wonderful believer, but you were a horrible minister.
Horrible.
And we're gonna get that full story time. We're doing a separate episode just on that.
Yeah, because I'm like, every time you mention it, my eyes just go like, oh. So
yeah, I didn't follow any of the rules.
So I can see how Love Unaccounted would be a series of mine that intrigues you, because I'm sure you could have, like you said, with your fan fiction, you could have ran off in a lot of different directions in that. But I really appreciate the dialogue, ladies.
Absolutely.
Really
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you, love.
again.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Hopefully this is not the last time. We'll give you some space to finish your stuff up. Maybe we'll have you back after the next one or the next one after the next one.
All right.
Have a good evening, ladies.
Thanks, ladies.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.